Hey, sports card fans, it's John, Boggs fan. Hope you're all doing well. Today, I'll be continuing my series at taking a look at my top 10 favorite cards of a particular vintage baseball card set. So far, I've taken a look at the 1948 Bowman, 49 Leaf, 49 Bowman, and 50 Bowman sets, and today I'll be taking a look at the 1951 Bowman set. Now, to me, the 50 through 52, maybe even including 53 Bowman sets are probably some of the most beautiful vintage sets that have been made. The artist renditions of photographs that were done, the colors, the images, they're just, to me, they're beautiful cards. So as I've been working my way up through these sets, of course, Bowman in particular so far has made more cards in each set. So there's more cards for me to look through and pick out my top 10. So for 51 Bowman, just like 50 Bowman, it was difficult for me to come up with a top 10 list. In fact, I threw in 5 honorable mentions, and I'll explain some of them as well. But there are 324 cards in the 1951 Bowman set, and I looked through every single one of them and picked my top 10. Now, this top 10, again, is not the top 10 most valuable cards in the set. You'll see some Hall of Famers in there, but some of them are not Hall of Famers. Some of them are players that you probably never heard of before unless you're very familiar with the 1950s teams or these sets. And spoiler alert, you will not see the Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays rookie card in my top 10 list. So let's get right to it. I'll show off the 5 honorable mentions, and then we'll get into the top 10. All right, the first honorable mention is the Phil Rizzuto. Now, the reason why I had this as an honorable mention is this is the same image that Bowman used for the 1950 Bowman. And I happened to choose the Phil Rizzuto in my top 10 from 1950 Bowman. So even though it's just a larger image of Phil Rizzuto here, I didn't want to take up the top 10 of the 51 Bowman since I had him in the 1950 Bowman as well. But I do love that Phil Rizzuto, the image there, the players in the background, him reaching up for the ball. Just love that image of Phil Rizzuto. Another honorable mention in the similar style is the Warren Spahn. Again, same image used in the 1950 and actually in the 1949 Bowman as well. So the 49, 50, and 51 all use that same image in a very different way. The 1950 is a more cropped or a smaller version of the same image. So I did want to give it an honorable mention because, again, it was in my top 10 list from the 1950 Bowman set. And the third one that is a duplicate from the 1950 is the Larry Doby. Again, just love the colorful crowd in the background and just his batting stance there. But I did want to give this an honorable mention for the 51 Bowman. And then 2 other ones that I came across that didn't quite make the top 10 list, but are cards I found interesting. And the first one is Sherry Robertson. Now, the first thing that I noticed about this Sherry Robertson card are the long sleeves here. Now, you see some other cards, and in particular, you see Larry Doby for a little bit. He has a long sleeve shirt under his uniform, same with Warren Spahn and Phil Rizzuto. But what's different with the Sherry Robertson is, and I don't know if it was done on purpose by the artist, but the way they colorized this photograph, it makes it look like it's a shiny material, almost like a modern day windbreaker jacket underneath his uniform. It's a lot baggier. It's not as skin tight. So I found that to be interesting. But the main thing that drew my attention and I thought was very interesting about this card, these, maybe not so much with the 49s, but the 50s and 51s, even in the 52s, which would be my next video, there's some very interesting backgrounds to these cards. And this one here, I noticed down there in the background there, it just is a little truck. I don't know if it's a delivery truck, probably some late 1940s model delivery truck, just something unique that you don't normally find in the background of a baseball card. So that's why I gave this Sherry Robertson an honorable mention. And the last honorable mention is Mike Guerra, catcher for the Boston Red Sox. Nothing in particular about this card stood out to me. Obviously, you have the stands in the background, a few people in the stands, there's a player there in the background, but the pose that he's in as a catcher, some of the catcher poses are just, they're in a squatting position, looking straight at the camera. This one is a little bit more of a, I wouldn't say action shot, but he's in a motion there of throwing the ball. It's a little bit different. He's half crouched, poised to maybe throw the ball or stand up and throw the ball, and then the green infield. And the other thing is this white infield like chalk line, and the fact that it's curving, I'm trying to figure out where on the field this image may have been taken. You may get a chalk outline around the home plate area, and there may be in this particular stadium, this may be Fenway. It looks like a home uniform for the Red Sox, possibly. But was there a lot of grass between the home plate area before the dirt? I'm not sure. If that's the case, there's a lot of area in the background there. It almost looks like it's part of the infield, but I don't recall them doing a chalk line like from the infield area between infield and outfield. So would love to know in the comments where you think this photograph may have been taken in relation to the field. So I just found the card very interesting overall, so I gave it an honorable mention. So all right, on to my top 10. Coming in at number 10, I picked the Billy Johnson. Now, this image here just sort of spoke to me. It's in, presumably, Yankee Stadium. He's in a home uniform. And so you see the 3 levels of the stands there at Yankee Stadium. And the pose that they have him in, he's almost, I know it's staged, but it's almost mid wind-up. A lot of the posed pitchers, they're either in the start of their wind-up or they have that, that big follow-through where they still have the ball in their hand. This one's sort of in between. Like he's in, just in the process of throwing the ball to home plate. And then, of course, you have that pinstripe full uniform there, just the detail there of the pinstripes. To me, this card just spoke to me. So I made this card number 10 on my list. So number 9, we have Whitey Lockman. And this is a similar one to the Phil Rizzuto, in which he's, they have him jumping in the air and, toss the ball to him and have that, just mid-air ball flight, reaching up to catch the ball. Nothing particularly great about the background. Looks like some wood or padded outfield wall or something like that. But I don't know, just the overall image of him leaping up there, trying to catch the ball. Thought it was an interesting pose and card. So the Whitey Lockman came in at number 9 for me. Number 8, we have the Johnny Schmitz. Now, this one is mainly because of the background. You see a lot of stadiums. You see a lot of maybe trees or telephone poles, or the previous card where there's a truck in the background. This is the first one. There may have been another one that I looked at, but this was more prominent, where you have a mountain range in the background. So would be interesting to know where that image was taken. Again, probably spring training somewhere. Probably not Florida. I don't know if they had spring training in Arizona back in the day, but you have those a lot of trees in the background, and then that mountain range in the back. I just thought that was really cool for a baseball card. All right, number 7 is Paul Richards. Now, this is a very interesting card. When I came across this, I thought, wow, this is cool. Now, this is Paul Richards was the newly appointed manager of the White Sox. And in the back, it actually says the caricature, say that quick 10 times. On the front of this card is Paul Richards, the newly appointed manager of the White Sox. And so they either didn't have an image of him in a White Sox uniform, or didn't have a proper image of him, and they had an artist do a caricature of him in a White Sox uniform. So I just thought that was a really cool card, of just, forget about airbrushing, a new uniform on a hat or a jersey. They didn't have anything to go off of, so they just created an image of Paul Richards. So he came in at number 7 on my list. Number 6, another interesting card here. Charlie Dressen was the manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers. And what struck me about this card is in the background there, you see the lineup for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And if you notice here, right field, Carl Furillo. I'm not sure that name there, but center fielder, Duke Snider. Left field, Abrams. Second base, Jackie Robinson. First base, I'm not sure who played first base at the time. And then on the right-hand side, you see the pitching rotation and Don Newcomb at the top there. Don't quite know the other players there, but I noticed that Don Newcomb, Carl Furillo, Duke Snider, and Jackie Robinson in the background of this card. So I thought that was a very interesting card there for Charlie Dressen. Number 5, Thurman Tucker. Now, there's a lot going on in this card that I like. You have the very colorful, even though blurred out, crowd in the stadium. You have what looks like a mid-swing pose of him at the plate. So it looks like he could be, at the plate getting ready to swing the bat, not off to the side with a standard pose of either the beginning of a swing or the follow through that you typically see. So it's an interesting batting pose. You got the bold, bright colors of the Cleveland Indians uniform. But the other thing I noticed is he's wearing glasses. And not very common to see players, at least pictured on baseball cards, wearing glasses. There is, I think, one other card in the 51 Bowman set, and I think it's a Red Sox player. I should have written down the name, but he's also pictured wearing glasses. I think Dom DiMaggio, I think he wore glasses, and it was featured on his cards as well. But you rarely see a player today wear glasses. If they need corrections, they put contacts in. It's not maybe until maybe more into the 60s and 70s where you see more players wearing glasses. But just, again, a lot of things, cool things going on with this Thurman Tucker card. So it made number 5 on my top 10 list. All right, number 4, we have the Bob Feller. Now, as I said before, I think Bob Feller cards are some of the most beautiful cards that are made. There's just something about either his smile, the way the images or photographs they've taken of Bob Feller, I don't know. But you have that great Bob Feller smile. Again, the colors of that Cleveland Indian uniform, and then you have that sort of grayish blue sky background with the clouds. You can see a little bit of the outline or shadow there of the stadium lights. Just overall, I think that's a beautiful card of Bob Feller. So that made card number 4 on my list. Number 3, I chose the Whitey Ford. Now, yes, this is his rookie card, but that really played no factor into it. I just think that's a beautiful image. Just the richness, the shadows that the artist did from the original photograph of him smiling. Just, I don't know. You got that sort of fence in the background, the sky, the Yankee pinstripes. Just everything's going on great with this card. So the Whitey Ford made the number 3 on my list. Number 2, the Yogi Berra. Now, I personally think the 1950 Bowman Yogi Berra is my favorite Yogi Berra card. This one is probably number 2 on my list of all the Yogi Berra cards. I think maybe the 54 Bowman is probably number 3, but there could be one that I come across. I go, oh yeah, this is higher on the list. But for now, in my memory, to me, this is the second nicest Yogi Berra card. So you got the sort of grandstand sign in the back, but just the smile of Yogi Berra there. You know, that youthful, look and appearance of him. Again, you got the Yankee pinstripes, but just that smiling image of Yogi Berra, just a great looking card. All right, now for the number 1 card from 1951 Bowman, again from my personal taste and list, is the Roy Campanella. Again, stadium in the back, and I think other people have pointed out or questioned, like, who's that one guy sitting in the stadium there? Obviously, it's before the game, before they let people in the stands. Looks like he may be wearing, time period, probably wearing a suit. Can't be a scout. Is it part of ownership, management? Just some person that got into the stadium early? I don't know, but he's the only one in the stands there. But more importantly, you have that action shot of Roy Campanella, pop up, flip the mask off. It's probably sort of posed, but probably taken. Obviously, you can't pose the face mask just almost falling off his hands there. So it is more of an action shot. I just love that Roy Campanella card there from 51 Bowman. So that made the number 1 on my top 10 list. So there you have it, my top 10 plus 5 honorable mentions from the 1951 Bowman set. Would love to know your thoughts on what cards would make your top 10 list. And let me know if I created or made a baseball collector faux pas, blasphemy that I did not include the Mickey Mantle or Willie Mays rookie cards. While they're obviously important cards in the hobby, in terms of their overall design, I mean, when you look at it compared to, at least for me, compared to the other cards that I showed off on my top 10 list, the Mickey Mantle is, I mean, you have a couple, I guess maybe telephone poles in the background, but I don't know. There's nothing really pops on the card. It's obviously a very popular card, recognizable card. Same thing with the Willie Mays. I was sort of tempted. He was close to maybe my top 10 or an honorable mention just because of the colors going on in that card. But it just didn't speak to me as much as the other cards did in terms of their them being an interesting card or an overall beautiful card in my mind. But again, I'd love to know your thoughts on my top 10 list, or what cards would make your top 10 list. So that's all I have for you. Until next time, thanks for watching.